And for today's lesson, we're going to be going through a couple things. Primarily, we're going to be talking about filling out online forms. And when you're filling out online forms, right, that could be applying for a job, that could be applying for, going to school, getting a new Gmail account. There's a whole lot of reasons you would fill out a form online. And so we're going to talk about some of the ways to do that efficiently. We're going to talk about what are the required fields versus the optional fields when you're filling out a form. Because a lot of the times when you're filling out a form, it might have, 30 different places you can input information, but all of it's not required, right? For instance, right, address to, right? When you're writing your address, not everyone has an apartment number or unit number, so that's not required, but your phone number or your email address might be. So we'll talk about some of those things. We'll talk about some of the things that happen as you're filling out forms, things like the pop-ups that'll sometimes come up, or sometimes you have to verify you're not a bot or a robot rather, to make sure that they know that you're a real person and you're just not creating like fake accounts. So yeah, these are all things we're going to talk about today. And I'm sure everyone here has probably filled out a form online before. They're normally pretty easy, but they can get a little tricky, especially when there's a lot of options. So let's see here. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So I'm going to just open up this job application and share my screen. All right, great. All right, so okay, so right here we have a job application. So let's say you are applying for a job online and you come here, and this one's obviously a practice one. So we're not going to go through it completely, but we are going to start and kind of go through it and see what some of the things are that come up when we're working on these types of things. So when you do fill out a job application online, there is some information that must be filled out, right? Normally, that's going to have an asterisk next to it. Required information will always have that asterisk. And so an asterisk is just a small little star. You guys have seen it. If you look on your computer, it's above, if you have a keyboard in front of you, it's just above the 8. There's that little star. And so that is another name for that is called asterisk. And that tells you that that information is going to be required. So you cannot skip that particular line. You will have to put something in there. And so let's go ahead and go through it together. It also is very important to remember that when we're filling out forms online, that we don't make mistakes. Because, for instance, if we spell our email address wrong, because your email address has to be perfect in order for someone to email you. So if you put your email in wrong, then you're not going to get the emails that they send out because it's going to the wrong email address. If you give them a phone number that's off by 1 digit, or you add an extra digit in there, they're not going to be able to call you because now they don't know what is the correct phone number or text you or whatever it is that you signed up to do. So it's very important that when we are filling out forms, we're being careful to fill them out properly so that they have all the information for us to get what we're expecting to get out of filling that form out. So let's start real quick. I'm just going to start right here. So as you can see, and I'll just zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. As you can see here, we're starting to fill out the form, and it asks for first name. So what you have to do is you see that asterisk there, that little star next to first name. That's telling us that that field is going to be required. And so you need to get your mouse in there. So you would click in here, and then you can see that the blinking cursor is right there blinking on the left. That indicates that if I start typing, then it's going to start entering information right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. So put in my first name. Now there's a couple different ways to get to the next column or the next place in the form to enter my last name. So I can do that using my mouse, and I can just click in there, right? Using my left click, I can just click in there. But a faster way, if you're on a keyboard, is you can hit the tab button. So the tab button is just to the left of Q. Okay, just to the left of Q, it says tab, and I can just hit that, and I want you to watch what happens on my screen. So it goes from the first name column to the last name column. And then I can just keep typing. So I don't have to keep moving my hand over to my mouse to click on the next thing. I can just type, I can hit tab again, and then I can keep entering. Again, tab, right? Enter my address, 123 Main Street. Main Street East. Again, notice that these up here are all have an asterisk, right? So email, required, last name, first name, address. But here, address 2, you don't see the asterisk next to number 2. So that tells you that this is not required. Why is address 2 not required? Anyone? Why would address 2 not be required? This would be where you would put unit number or an apartment number. Does everyone have a unit number or an apartment number if they're at a house?
No.
No, they don't. So that's why it's not required, because you may not have one. And so as we continue down, then we have city. I'm just going to put Federal Way, right? And also, by the way, the case in which you fill things out. So if you put Federal Way, all one word, that's what they're going to get, right? It's not going to correct any of your mistakes. When they go and look at your information, it's just going to be exactly the way that you put it is the way that it's going to come to them. And so again, you want to be careful to make sure that we're entering things the way that we want it to be received. I mean, they very well may even use this information exactly the way that you put it to send something to you in the mail, right? So it's important to make it all formatted right so that it's good to go. When we get to state, notice that there's a drop down. So right here, if I click that little down arrow, it gives me all the states in the United States and actually some additional ones, right? Some in Canada, Quebec, Ontario, etc. Siska, okay? But if I click on the state and I just want to go to Washington, if I don't want to scroll and look for Washington, we've all done that, right? Where you do the drop down and then you have to scroll to find Washington or to find whatever state you're looking for. A faster way to find your state or whatever might be in the drop down is you can just start typing. So again, I'll click the drop down and I'm just going to hit W and it automatically goes to Washington because that's the first thing that starts with a W. Let's do it again. So what if I wanted to look for Arizona? I would click it and hit A. Hit A. I can just keep hitting A until I find Arizona. And there's Arizona. Okay, once I found it and it's selected, I can again move my mouse up to it and click it, or I can just hit tab. Tab will select the one that's highlighted in blue. Let's do that again. Let's find North Carolina. I'm going to hit N. Nope, there it is. This is the first one. Then I'm going to hit tab. So tab selects it, and then I can hit tab one more time. Is zip code required based on what you guys see here on the screen? Is zip code required?
Yes.
It is. So, and it doesn't, let's see what it says here. My computer's trying to help me, but it's getting kind of in the way here. Enter your 5-digit zip code. So we've all seen mail come to us and it has the 5-digit zip code, but it also has those extra 4 digits at the end. So in this case, it only wants the 5 digits. So if you put in 6 digits, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if we just put in a bunch of digits. I think it let it happen. And then it says, enter your phone number using the following format. It specifically wants you to put in those little dashes right there, right? So 3 numbers, a dash, 3 numbers, a dash, and then 4, right? So we're going to put 253-444-0001. I forgot to put in one of those dashes. Let's see what happens. I'm going to hit tab. Then I'm going to hit next. Oh, it actually came up with 2 errors. So this form is a smart form, which is really nice because it helps you to not have data errors when you input your information. So here for zip code, remember it asked for 5 digits. I gave it 7. And it automatically noticed that and it said error. Let's see what happens if I put in a letter and then 4 numbers. Let's try it again. Oh, it actually let me do that, right? So it didn't work perfectly because I don't know of any zip codes in America that have a letter in. But let's go ahead and fix our phone number. So I fixed our phone number now because it said that I did not have a valid format. I think our format should be good now. 3 letters or 3 numbers, a dash, 3 numbers, a dash, and then 4. So I'm gonna hit next, and there we go. Okay, again, I'm zooming out. To zoom in and out, I'm just using Control and plus to zoom in, and then Control and minus to zoom out. Okay, let's do a little bit more here. Have you previously applied for employment or been employed with us? Again, because I'm highlighted there, see, again, so I can just click anywhere on the page, but as soon as I hit tab, you see that it puts that yellow bracket around that question. I can just go up and down using my arrow. Again, just using the keyboard. You don't have to use your mouse. You just use the keyboard, go up and down. Yes or no? If so, when did you last apply? 2011. Tab. Are you legally eligible for employment? I'm just using my keyboard again. I'm not using my mouse. Don't have to pick up my hand. Yes, I'm legal. Which position or positions are you interested in? Maximum response of 255 characters. A character is anything that you type, and it also includes spaces. Okay, so if you write I am here, how many characters did we use to write I am here? I wrote I am here.
9.
Yeah, 9 characters, exactly. So sometimes it can be confusing because you think, oh, I only use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but these spaces count as a character. So this space here is only going to hold 255 characters. Okay, so that's 9 there. All right, let's tab down. What is your expected salary range? How much do you guys want to make at this job? It better be a good number. Somebody give me a good number. Let's make 175,000. I think that's a good number. If employed in this job for which you're applying, will you be working in the same location as a relative or someone that you live with? No. How did you learn about the organization? Let's say job fair. If other, please explain. Again, this is not required. We don't see an asterisk next to it, right? So we don't have to put anything there. And then it says copy and upload your resume. And then I want you to upload your resume here. Also optional. Okay, and we're not going to really delve into that today. There's another class on uploading and choosing files and so forth. But the bottom line is, I just want to take you guys through that form just so we can go over what it looks like to fill out a form, what are required fields, how to use the tab button, and move around the form to get it filled out quickly and efficiently. Because applying for jobs, I don't know about y'all, if anybody's ever applied online, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of information you have to put into this form. I mean, you can see here, it has 7 sections. We finished section 1 and 2. We haven't even input our education. We haven't input our other skills. We haven't put all of our job and employment history. We might have been working for 10 or 15 years. You could have pages and pages of work history. So it's important that you know how to get around these forms really, really good. Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing for a second. And I'm going to just pull up a little handout, and we're going to just do this real quick together. Okay, so y'all just roll with me here. We're going to go through this really quick. I know you guys know most of this, but just as a quick review of what we just talked about, it says highlight or circle the required information. So I'm going to break out my highlighter. Is the word first name, is this required? Do we see an asterisk next to first name? Is it required?
Yes.
Yes, it is. 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 Yes, it is.
Yes.
Email. Yes, right? You see
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
address. What about address 2? No,
No.
right? Not required. City, yes. Okay, and obviously state, and then we see zip code, and then phone number. If you put your phone number in here wrong, will it give you an error? Will it help you out? Okay. And just so you know, the way that these work is when you're filling out this form, it's actually taking all that information. So let's say 10 people filled out that form in one day. It's taking all that information and it's putting it in one location. So the hiring manager or whoever's going to review that information can see at one view, they can see everyone's name, everyone's email, everyone's address. They can see their phone numbers. So they could easily, let's say they're on a computer that had the ability to send text messages. They could highlight 100 phone numbers and send a text message to those 100 phone numbers, but they have to be properly formatted, which is why it's important and it's required that they have the dashes in there. That way they can ensure, because sometimes people put a country code in front of their phone number. They might put the 1, or they might put the 2, or the 32, depending on the country where their phone number is. And so it's important to have consistent formatting when you're filling out forms, because it makes the data, what we call in the business world, it makes the data clean, so it's easier to use quicker because it's all in the same format. When data is not clean, some people put in their phone number without dashes, some people put it with dashes, some people put the parentheses around the first 3, some people put the 1 in front of it, because there's a lot of different ways to put your phone number in, right? And so those are things that can make your data unclean, and then it's going to be so much harder to use. Okay. All right. Let's see here. All righty. So the next thing we're going to talk about here, that was pretty easy, not a problem. Next thing we're going to talk about is pop-up windows. So sometimes when you fill out an application or you use the internet, the website's going to try to open a new small window, and we call those pop-ups. I'm sure you guys have seen them before. You're working on the computer, and this extra little thing just comes out of nowhere and it just pops up. So that's called a pop-up. They're small windows, and they usually come on the top of the web page that you're looking at. So it won't just show up in the background. It normally will be like the top layer, because on computers, right, when you have multiple things open, something is on the top and something's in the back, right? So normally a pop-up will go in front of everything. Oftentimes, they can also be used by advertising companies to try to sell you something. So they'll do pop-ups. So the computer, sometimes it'll actually stop pop-ups because it thinks that it's something that maybe you don't want to see. Somebody's trying to advertise to you. So it'll actually stop the pop-up. But if you want the pop-up, you actually have to go back in and turn it on or enable the pop-up. So enabling just means to allow it to happen. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and open up the pop-up tester here. Okay. All right, so here we go. So we're at the pop-up tester now. So I'm just going to zoom in for y'all. So it said, if you're tired of pop-up ads or your blocking software isn't working, the way you want it to do is check out the pop-up washer. So they're trying to sell us something over here, but let's just try it. So this one says, when you click a link to go to a desired website, that action could launch a pop-up ad. This test will try to open 5 new windows. So when I click this, it's going to try to open up multiple new pop-ups on my computer. Let's see what happens. See right here, it says pop-up blocked. Did you guys see that? It said pop-up blocked. It said pop-ups were blocked on this page. So when I click that link, something tried to open up multiple other windows on my computer, and my computer didn't allow it because I have on the pop-up blocker, right? So it keeps me from getting a bunch of stuff on my window. So I don't want to see that. So I'm going to show you how to enable it really quick. So if you want to enable it, you can come up here, right here where it showed up. Let's show it again. So I hit try test. Let's see what happens. Oh, there it is again. Pop-up blocked. So now it's telling me that this website tried to pop up something. Let's say I'm at a website that I trust. Maybe you're at your bank, maybe you're at Amazon, maybe you're somewhere that you are always at. And you're like, well, I kind of wanted to see what they wanted to show me. Or maybe you're expecting a pop-up so that you can add additional information. So you can just click here and it says you can continue blocking, or you can allow pop-ups and redirects from this website. So if I click here and hit done, now we hit the pop-up here, and let's see what happens. Oh, it opened up a pop-up window. So there you go. You got a pop-up window now. So I'm going to close it. Let's do it again. Try test. I just realized you guys can't see my other screen. So 1 second. Let me share my entire screen so you guys can see that. Okay, here we go. So again, I'm here. I hit the pop-up blocker. And what did I get? I got an extra little window over here because it did the pop-up, because I enabled it. Now, let's say you want to turn it off and you don't want pop-ups for this site. Then you can come right back over here to the hamburger and let's see if we can find where we can turn off the pop-ups. Right here. So under privacy and security, pop-ups and redirects. Okay, and we can say sites automatically follow this setting. Sites can send pop-ups and use redirects, or automatically you want all sites to be not allowed to do it. Okay, so right here, I actually allowed pop-ups from this website, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that. So I'm just going to hit remove. Then I want to close this out. I want to refresh the window. And now when I try to click the, oh, there it is already. It already said pop-up blocked, right? So I'm going to try it again. And again, it blocked the pop-up. Okay. There we go. All right. So that was a good little test. Any questions about that? Anybody got questions about that? Pop-up blocker? Okay. Sounds good. Let me just close that window. And let's see what else we got. Okay. One last thing just to touch base on, and today's lesson is a little bit of a shorter one. We're actually got about maybe 15 or so minutes left. So another thing that comes up when you're going through online forms is every now and again you'll have to certify or click a button just to tell the computer that you're not a robot. And that's called CAPTCHA, CAPTCHA, CAPTCHA. And sometimes when you finish the job application or you log into your account, the computer will say, hey, can you verify that you're a real person? This is because the website needs to protect themselves, and CAPTCHA helps them with security for their website. So make sure that you're not a bot or a robot. Because there are people out there who use computers to make large numbers of fake accounts on websites like Twitter or Facebook or Gmail, Instagram. And then these computers are called bots. And these bots will just go to a person's website and just continuously log in, create a new account, create a new account, create a new account. And then they use those accounts for all kinds of different, just nefarious things. Okay. So let's take a look at a CAPTCHA demo. And this one's pretty easy, actually. But here we have a CAPTCHA, really easy one, right? So you go to log in, You pick your favorite color, and then it says, click here just to verify that you're not a robot. You click there, it does the check. We've all seen this, right? And then you hit submit, right? Verification successful. Hooray. The other ones will ask you complicated things. Anyone ever received the one that says, hey, can you click all the bridges that cross rivers? And then it shows you 9 different pictures, and you have to click the ones that have a bridge in it. And sometimes they're hard and we fail and we're not a robot. So they make them a little hard because they don't want the robot to be able to figure out, which is which. And so we'll take a look at that in a second. Let me just come back over here. So let's take a look at that real quick. So here, we just looked at this example, right, where we said, just click here and tell it you're not a robot, right? Too easy. Just click there. You click, I'm not a robot. This one will have you enter this text. Can anybody read that text? I can't even read that. But you have to read that and then type it here to prove that you're not a robot. That's hard. I don't know about you guys. That's hard. I can't read this. Ireland, maybe? Ireland? I don't know what that says. I would fail this one. Okay. And then sometimes when you're verifying, oh, what does it say?
INREMD.
Okay. I don't know if that's a word. Maybe it's just some letters they put together. And then of course was. So you'd have to type that and hit verify. If you fail it, it might give you a second or third chance to do it. And then lastly, this is the one that we're probably all used to, is this one. When you go to verify your account and it says, select all the images with rivers. Which ones have rivers? Let's see. I think this one. And probably down.
1, 2, 3.
And then you would hit verify. Okay. So that should verify your account, and then it should let you in, and then you can, continue with what you were about to do before you had to verify that you were not a robot. Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions about CAPTCHA? Have you guys ever seen that before? You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Yep. It comes up quite a bit. And we have to use that to get around. So just to wrap up here, again, this is a little bit of a shorter lesson today. We will do a little bit of a review. Right here, you have online forms. Let's go through a little bit of vocabulary, and then we're going to take a quiz together. So let's match the item over here with the definition. So a bot. What is a bot? Is it a small window that opens up? Does it turn on and allow something to happen? Is it a computer that makes fake accounts? Is it this thing or is it this thing? What is a bot? Anybody? A bot is a computer that makes fake accounts. Okay. CAPTCHA, like we talked about, is this thing. All right. It's just verifying that you're not a bot. What is a pop-up? Is it a small window that opens up, or is it something that you use to turn on and allow something to happen?
Small window.
Yeah, small window. Enable, of course, is to turn on and allow something to happen. And then, of course, this is your asterisk right here. Okay. And your asterisk on your keyboard is just above the number 8. Okay.